Hey everybody, my name's Tom, and welcome back to Everything and Nothing, the Curmudgeon Media podcast, the podcast where I am incredibly organised and professional because I absolutely, completely forgot to do an intro in the actual recording, and so here I am recording a couple days later. Myself and Green Ornstein, we did a wonderful podcast with Harry's Haunted House. It was a blast, it was loads of fun, and that's what you're gonna hear if you clicked on this video. So hopefully you all enjoy it, and I'll see you in the podcast. So how is everybody today? How are we all feeling?
Yeah, no quandaries on the wellness side for me. How about you, Tom?
Oh
my God, you're both called Tom. This is gonna be so.
Yeah, this is the weird conundrum.
Hey, other Tom, you go first. You probably have more interesting things to say than I do.
Yeah, I'm just reckon in terms of when you're talking to Tom and you don't know which one to go to. Basically, if you say Tom in like a hello Tom in a nice way, that's to me. Whereas if you say it like you're telling your cat off for peeing on the rug, that'll be other Tom.
When did I become other Tom?
You know when.
Yeah. When are you guys gonna change your podcast name to the Sat Nav Podcast?
Why would we call it? Oh, he's done it. He's done it.
Oh, I just got that. It took me a second.
If we had to be said.
Oh man, but the thing is, like, Tom, you still go by your handle. I just abandoned my handle. But you still go by your handle. If you abandoned your handle too, we could do it, but it depends on how willing you'd be. I feel like people would get confused, wouldn't they? Since we're both called Tom and.
I've literally been watching Torchwood for a video this afternoon. That is
extent
of my life.
So sorry. Are you okay? Do you need help? Should I send someone?
I've literally got one episode left of series 2, and that will be the 26th episode. Oh my God, it has been quite painful, I have to say.
It could have been so good. Operative word being could. It could have been so good.
Torch could have been.
Could have been good.
Harry, I just got a title for your video. Just use that.
Sure. All right. Torch could have been good.
Torch could have been good. Torch wasn't. Torch wasn't good at all.
I'm looking forward to watching the third series, though, the Children of Earth one, because I remember that one being good.
Dude, I didn't even get that far. Do you? I mean, as someone who didn't make it that far, explain to me, coach me, tell me what made that season the standout from the 3.
Because there were only 5 episodes in that one as opposed to 13 in the first 2. And ironically enough, my experience has been that there have been about 5 episodes that had me gripped in some form, whereas look at, I don't know, something like the Sex Monster episode from the very first series, and you just think, how on earth did this get past the producer table? Like, I can't fathom how. I can get it because it's like, oh yeah, we're making an adult show. We've never made an adult show before on the BBC. What do? Sex. Lovely.
That's how you do
Our
it.
age range is 8 to 9 years old.
That's how you do it, isn't it? That's how you make something more adult. You just add sex and violence. That instantly makes something more adult.
Yeah.
God, I mean, it's something of an indictment of the show, isn't it? The fact that the biggest compliment you can give it is that that season is shorter than the other ones.
It gets more merciful.
Pretty much, yeah. But then they made a 4th series that nobody watched, and
they made a 4th series.
Yeah,
what?
But this was like, I don't know when, I can't remember when it was, but that was like that was the nail in the coffin, because they drove it over to America and it just did not work at all. It was originally meant to be like this big kind of advertisement for Cardiff, like, come and see it, it's such a cool place to go out and drink. But then it was like, oh right, okay, we're not in Cardiff anymore, so why are we making this show again?
That classic line from The Wizard of Oz, we're not in Cardiff anymore.
I'm just imagining now a bunch of really aggravated American Whovians who came to Cardiff and are not even there anymore.
Shipping it to America is an instant disastrous move. I just think about all the times that they've tried to do like American adaptations of British shows, like the IT Crowd or Peep Show.
Oh yeah.
With the IT Crowd, it's literally exactly the same. They even got Richard Ayoade.
Who is it?
And that guy from Community.
That guy from that doesn't narrow it down, but you're not incorrect. God, that's awful. Okay, Harry, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
I started watching your videos maybe 2 or 3 years ago, probably three years ago, and I thought, okay, in preparation for this, I'm just gonna click on your list of videos. I'm just gonna scroll all the way down. Just take that scroll button, just scroll all the way down. And your first video is titled something like Headlines. And
that's right. Yeah.
Help me understand.
What is it?
What is it?
I'm trying to think if that's the one. Yeah, it's the one that's in black and white, and I'm in my school uniform. I was still in high school at that point, year 11. So the explanation for that is, in my ICT classes, there was about 4 of us when we were bored and we had absolutely nothing to do. So what we essentially did was, you might have played this game before, maybe it's just a niche thing that I've seemed to have accumulated in my life, but basically you try and make sentences, but one word at a time from each person. So we could try this right now, actually. So I'll start with Nell, you go next.
No. Well, hey, I mean, you've solved the two Tom problem. Okay, schlong
is
fantastic. There we go. See, we've already got a sentence. That's basically the premise of the whole thing. And I have no idea. There were like a few videos that I had like around that time, but honestly, they've probably been deleted so long ago. And just for the sanctity of the channel at this point, they would not have lasted a day. But just because that was like one of the first videos that the channel, quote unquote, had, and I don't know, like I say, I just wrote down these sentences that we all accumulated in ICT lessons, read them out loud, and there you have headlines.
I mean, a couple of things. First of all, of course it was in an ICT lesson, because no one did work in ICT.
What else would you do?
Yeah.
But also, like, when I was watching it, it felt to me like you had inadvertently predicted that phenomenon of like AI trying to write stories. Do you remember when an AI, I mean, I guess this is relevant because you've done a lot of videos about Harry Potter, but when an AI wrote a Harry Potter book, it read that?
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, I hadn't even clocked into my head that you had made some kind of connection between AI and like people just making sentences, but in a weird way, that is probably the same kind of process that it's trying to capture.
Yeah. I always assumed it was like a predecessor to the, you know, when like song lyrics, and then you put them through Google Translate 100 times.
Yeah.
Basically some result of that, except I don't know the source, and I don't know if I wanted to know.
Right.
Yeah, it's unusual because nowadays you're primarily a video essayist. I think it'd be safe to describe you as a video essayist, but you've done like skits and the odd short film here and there, like it seems in recent history you've kind of turned away from. Is that simply because you're not so interested in the idea of doing skits and short films anymore, or is it?
It's more to do with, well, to put it bluntly, financial reasons. Like the short films and side projects that I would have made were predominantly for educational purposes, not in like this is how you make a short film, but I mean that I made those videos when I was still at uni, when I was in A level, whatever. So I think the last short film that I made was that Low Battery, which I did for my final year in my degree. And I think as well, you know, like short films and things are always like a collaborative effort. And since I've not really been in uni or been around a lot of creative people in one place, I just have found that not only because they don't get the same traction view-wise as reviews do and analyses do, so I've just kind of given up on that, to be honest. And I'm not feeling particularly inspired to make that kind of thing anymore. And because that Low Battery video was really polarized, like with my audience, like I think it's got about a 50-50 like to dislike ratio.
Oh my god.
That might have also played into it, but you know, it's something I would definitely say yes to again if somebody turned around to me and said, hey Harry, do you want to make a short film? I'd be like, fuck yes. But you know,
so you enjoy the process of making a short film?
Oh yeah, man. Like the two that I did whilst I was at uni, the Food Fight one and the Low Battery, were scripted, directed and edited by myself. So that whole like I don't. I'll use the word dictatorial control over an artistic project is just so satisfying. But at the same time, there are people who would happily like say, yeah, I'll pick up a camera for you, just for a day or whatever. Because I think we filmed the food fight thing in a day. And that was one of the best days I can remember. But it's certainly something I wouldn't say no to. But again, it's purely because if I did make it, I wouldn't want it to be something that would go on the channel. Because at this point, it's evolved into something so different from what my kind of aspirations when I was in uni would have been. If I get more views, understandably, I get more money. So, yeah.
Were you planning on doing something? I mean, you say your aspirations have evolved. What were you planning on doing originally that was so different? Was it short films or was it something else?
I mean, I think it was just purely because after I'd finished with uni, everyone had kind of gone home and not really, if I did try and arrange something with people, it always kind of fell flat because they were so far away. And when everyone's in the same place, like, am I right in thinking you guys live together or?
No, we would like to eventually, but fun fact, I actually came down back to my hometown in Dorset for a family matter, and then the lockdown happened, so I've been here ever since.
Okay.
I've been allowed to work from home till the end of the year.
You lucky bastard.
Yeah.
It's a complicated thing, you see, because actually Tom and I both have superpowers, but when we're close to each other, we don't have superpowers anymore. Like Hancock, that great movie that everybody remembers so fondly.
Yeah, and also we are both written by Vince Gilligan.
And we are both written by Vince Gilligan, that's true, which is kind of awkward.
Yeah. I've got it tattooed on my arm somewhere, and I don't know how to get rid of it. I've tried everything.
Oh my god, what are we even talking about? Okay, so I guess it kind of begs a question. What are the content creators that inspired you or continue to inspire you to create what you create on your channel?
Let me give you a little drum roll, because on my channel I've actually got a little sidebar that says channels that inspire my work.
Damn, how did I miss that?
let me just give you a little read. So because it's nice, it kind of randomizes it every now and again. So I've got 10 channels that are currently sat there. They do sort of change every now and again, but the biggest one when I first started would have been Your Movie Sucks, the ad.
You can tell, yeah.
He definitely was one of my favorites, and still to this day is one of my favorite YouTubers. Yeah. Unfortunately, he doesn't make quite as much content anymore, but when he does, it is just so
really good stuff. Yeah.
I'm also influenced by John Tron, Needle Drop, Matthew Matosis. He reviews video games.
It sounds like a viral infection.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, but you've contracted Matthew Matosis.
Red Letter Media,
yes,
Collative Learning, where I get a lot of my kind of analytical inspiration from. There's also Alt Shift X. Yeah, they're the kind of main ones, really. I mean, but at the same time, when I do a lot of my editing, I find, I don't know about you guys if you know much about these types of videos, but I'm really heavily inspired by YouTube poops. Because they are just so heavily edited to the point of extremity that like I will spend there are some moments in some of my reviews that I will spend hours editing like I don't know, about a 10-second clip just for one joke, and but that's just part of it as well. But,
so you're inspired by them by proxy, by the fact that you
pretty much editing.
You're taking it back a bit though. YouTube poops that's dawn of the internet, that's dawn of YouTube kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. The channel, my channel has been around since, well, I mean, not in a kind of prolific sense, but like it's been around since 2010, and YouTube were all the rage back then, and got even bigger probably a couple of years later when all the Michael Rosen ones came out. But yeah, they are really because they're so good. You can't ignore
they're great. My favorite is the Deus Ex one. Because they literally every other line or every other word is edited. It's so heavily edited.
Oh, the game. Oh, I thought you were going to say like the what's that? The Deus Ex Machina.
Ex Machina,
movie. Yeah, I thought you were talking about a poop of that film. That
would be a movie?
Classic.
Yeah, Ex Machina. You know the one with
yes.
With
Oscar Gleason and Oscar. I was about to say Oscar Wilde.
They brought Oscar Wilde back from the dead. I
always find that with Deus Ex, they never seem to use the full phrase, do they? Which is either means god of or of a machine. There's never going to be, as soon as the full title happens, is like
Yeah, I think it's
that's the real Hancock power when those two are together.
I'm gonna be boring and I'm gonna unlock the etymologist in me, but it's probably got to do with the fact that the phrase means something very different depending on like the qualifier. So when it's like god of the machine, to my understanding, it doesn't literally mean machine. It means machine as in machinations, like the machinations of God. But I may be getting that wrong. If there's anybody listening who knows better than I do, just tear me to shreds. Just tell me how.
If anybody here knows words, please help.
They were originally used. Well, the term was used in Greek drama, right? When the story would essentially resolve itself because some deity would come in and basically save the day.
Exactly.
Now,
the machinations of a god.
It can be really satisfying, but it can also be really unsatisfying because you're kind of cheated out of a good.
It depends, really. I mean, if it's like a UFO.
If you're gonna do it. Go all the way. So. Something that Tom and I are both kind of curious about. You've done a lot of videos on Doctor Who, to which I first of all say I'm so sorry to be a Doctor Who fan right now. It must be pretty difficult. But
we're kicking the hornet's nest now.
Okay, but let's think positively, right? Let's imagine a wonderful, magical alternate universe where you get a knock on the door. It's the Beeb. It's the big old BBC. They're like, Harry. We don't know anything about anything, and you know all the things about the Doctor Who's. Here are the keys to the franchise. We want you to write the next series. What do you do?
I cancel the show and put it on hiatus for 20 years and then give the keys to some other very talented writer who could do it for me.
You just cash in the paychecks and pretend to work.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like it's gone on for so long, and like I don't know, it feels like it's just run out of steam, and it feels like that has been the case for a while now. And it's why I'm going back to the golden era, and then we'll get back to. It'll come back full circle again, and I'll have to talk about the Matt Smith era.
Yeah, you have to regret all your life choices all over again.
Would you consider like the Eccleston to Tennant years, the golden years, and then there's the rest of it? That's all I've watched. I've got a bit through the Matt Smith ones.
I didn't even get that far. I gave up.
I was about to say I've got up to one where there's an alien in it, but that doesn't narrow it down.
That doesn't narrow it down. It's the Steve Moffat, Mark Gatiss. Oh, they sicken me. They take all of British pop culture and they just rub their grubby, disgusting hands all over. They ruined Dracula. Why?
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that.
Dracula is my favorite novel of all time. And I thought, oh my goodness, they're doing a BBC adaptation of Dracula. And then there's Mark Gatiss and Steve Moffat's disgusting, horrible names attached to it. And that's when the drinking began.
That's the reason why I wanted to. I had quite high hopes for it, but maybe because they've been stuck doing Who for so long that I thought they would kind of have a decent bash at something new. And honestly, I thought the first episode was magnificent. And
a lot of people did, though, didn't they?
Yeah, the second episode came along, I just lost interest, and then I heard the third episode was a total clusterfuck, so I just didn't bother watching it.
And they also did Sherlock.
Oh,
have you guys got quite a negative view of that?
I do in kind of an apathetic way. Tom does in a way which makes him want to burn the whole institution down. So
it makes me want to fling myself into oncoming traffic. But I understand there's value to Sherlock. It's entirely subjective. I find the editing style incredibly obnoxious. I don't really like Benedict Cumberbumble. I don't buy Martin Freeman as Watson for a second. I don't buy him as like a hard-nosed ex-military guy at all.
Interesting.
And the writing, it's very this is just my opinion, it's very up its own arse. It's like, oh, we're gonna change things for the sake of changing things, as opposed to changing things in a way that's necessarily satisfying. And the bait and switch, there's just endless bait and switching, is just like, it's hernia inducing.
So have you read the books then, or?
Yes, not all of them. Quite enough of them for me to say that I do enjoy them. I kind of put them up there because I'm a really big fan of film noir. That's like my favorite style in cinema, and a lot of like film noir comes from the novels of like Dashiell Hammett, Raymond Chandler, who were writing those pulpy, hard-boiled novels, and in my opinion, they owe their writing style to Conan Doyle. They were simple, short, clever, witty stories, plain and simple, and the joy of it, the joy of reading one of those books is in the joy of deduction. And I think, sadly, Sherlock kind of deprives you of that joy an awful lot.
I, on the other hand, cannot read. So.
All right.
But he does write, though. That's the strange thing. He can't read, but he does write. It's a phenomenon.
You know that feeling when you can't listen to a language, but you can only speak it?
The only Arthur Conan Doyle book I've ever read is The Lost World. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one at all, but it was kind of nice. That I couldn't tell you that it didn't excite me or anything like that. I wasn't hooked on it or anything.
They're not. I mean, Conan Doyle, he's not like a writer that's going to blow your mind. You know, it's not like you're trading in terms of one of those kind of writers that changed the fabric of literature in the same way as, like, I don't know, like Philip K. Dick or something like that. But on a completely separate note, I noticed your Skype handle is Hop.
Yep.
Do you like Hop?
No, it's I tell you what, it's only because I don't really use Skype that much, and I'm more Discord myself. Last time, I can't remember the last time I used Skype. Had to reinstall it, and I can't. You two are my only contacts on here. Like, that's all I got.
Oh, I take that as an achievement. We are good.
Yeah. I was thinking though that, like, what could I have as my profile picture? And, you know, I could have the suave, sexy in the snow picture, or I could have a selfie on my white wall. But then I realised I've got a load of funny Pokemon Sword and Shield pictures stored on my computer from when I played it, and I just thought that one was quite a funny one to have. So no real reason other than I just felt it'd be better than having a little grey icon.
How do you feel about Sword and Shield as a game, as the most recent, you know, installment to the Pokemon franchise?
Well, admittedly, it's still a Pokemon game. I still tried my best to catch them all, and but I mean, I think Pokemon's been on a bit of a decline since Sun and Moon anyway, so I wasn't expecting... Well, I was expecting a lot because it was on a console, and then it just turned out to be, oh, yeah, don't forget the Nintendo Switch's hardware is absolute garbage.
So as a Smash player, it doesn't even have an Ethernet cable, so, you know, online play is terrible.
Seriously, we're all over the Ethernet cable today.
Yeah, it has, at least it has something in common with our laptop. At least my technology is consistent.
The thing is that the hardware was used, I think, most effectively with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and with that up on a pedestal, the stark contrast with Sword and Shield was like, it was just like, it was like piss in the wind. Absolute disaster.
That's funny because I played that on the Wii U, so I have no idea what Breath of the Wild is like on the Switch.
It's much better. Let me just tell you that. It's much better.
Is it like performance-wise, or is there more stuff on it?
Well, you can just tell that the game was really built for the Switch. You know, I think the performance-wise, there's less frame rate issues, but just like, I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that I was able to take it with me on the train to London and back. Just kind of,
yeah, I suppose,
feel like I was taking this adventure with me. You know, it took
the handheld quality to it, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. The fact that you can play The Witcher 3 on the Nintendo Switch, albeit with a lot of graphical like downgrades and at 30 frames, it's still The Witcher 3 on the Nintendo Switch.
Is it bad that the only thing I can think of is The Switcher 3? I love the few seconds of silence.
I'm gonna when I edit this, I'm gonna add more seconds of silence just to make it feel bad.
Yeah. Just while I've got you there, should we do an intro just at this point?
Oh my god, Tom, fuck you, stepping all over my whole shit, you fucking asshole. We are 29 minutes into this recording. I don't know if it will reflect that in the actual upload because things get kind of edited down. But Tom, you make a very good point. The answer is no, because fuck you, Tom.
All right. I'll do one for you. Welcome to the SatNav podcast. With me, we have Tom.
Oh my god, Harry. Now I have to say fuck you for stepping on my whole shit. When we first started this podcast, it was literally just like we were just chatting and we were like, god damn, we should record this. And I could, because I'm very uncreative, and also incredibly stupid. I could not think of a good name for the podcast, and you've just like swept in here with your whole, having a
crashed
YouTube
through a
channel,
wall.
fucking came up with a better name for our podcast. I'm tempted to change it. I actually am. That's a good ass name for a podcast.
There we go. See, I bet you're glad you had me on.
Yeah, this is why
Thank you, everybody. I'll be here all week.
This is why they pay you the big bucks, and why they pay us in fish scales and wet socks.
Tom, they're paying you in fish scales? Why haven't I got that? I've got loads of fish that need scaling.
Speaking of fish scales, have you guys played Sekiro yet?
No, that is
I've played a bit.
Well, I don't know if that's the only Souls game I've played. I've played Dark Souls 1, 3, and Bloodborne. Bloodborne I've 100%ed. I love that game.
Nice.
Sekiro, I really, really want to play, but it's so expensive, and I like having money. So,
Oh, Tom, you've got like a dragon's pile of gold. You could shell out a bit.
yeah, but I have a dragon's pile of gold because I don't spend it, and also because I kill dragons. Neither of which, you could get out there once in a while with a battle axe and take one on.
Tom, honestly,
oh my God.
Tom, I know I'm tall, but the thing is that the sheer just like muscular girth that you boast is far greater than I. You have the
Someone said it.
You have the physical capability of squaring off against withens, when frankly I'd much rather stay at home. Sekiro, you mentioned Sekiro.
Yeah, because you guys should totally play it. If you like, I mean, don't go into it expecting Dark Souls 4, but as a game on its own, it does take a little while to get used to it, but my God, it is so good.
Give me a hard sell. You're on here, you got the platform, we're giving you the podium.
No, I can't start anywhere. I can just say it's a good game, because the thing is, if I start talking about it, I'm going to spoil the whole experience for you guys. You need to go into it so fucking blind that you'll be like, ow, I died. Ow, I died again. Ow, I keep dying. Why can't I get good at this game? Why is it not Dark Souls? And then you'll be like, oh, now I realize why it's so good after you've beaten, I don't know, about 3 or 4 of the bosses. But like, it is... You'll just die again and again and again. I know I'm sounding like I'm selling a Dark Souls game here, but it's
It does,
more... And I mean, this is only because obviously you guys showed me your review of what's it called?
Ghost of Tsushima.
That's the one, yeah. And it was really good. And I was literally thinking the whole time, whenever there was like a little complaint coming up, I was just thinking, oh, you're gonna like Sekiro.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I'm aware of the influence of the manga Berserk on both the Dark Souls franchise and on Sekiro, which is like a drawing force for me because Berserk, I just love the pain. I just love the pain.
Just leave it at that. Let's just.
But I have to be the odd one out here. I've never played a Dark Souls game.
You have played Bloodborne, but to be fair, I was sitting next to you.
You were sitting next to me. Every time I cried, you were able to console me.
I was the shoulder to cry on.
No, I loved Bloodborne. Bloodborne was a wonderful experience. It's very, because it is like people will often throw around that phrase "get good," but it is that, and it's like it sounds like gatekeeping, but it's really not. It's literally just a thing of like you just need to sit with this game for a while and just kind of figure out the rhythm of it first.
Yeah, that's exactly the same as Sekiro. And I know I'm going to sound heretical here, but I've never played Bloodborne, never touched it, because I don't own a PlayStation 4.
Have you considered flinging yourself off of the tallest building you can find for your absolute sacrilege?
Maybe when I've had about 10 pints, but yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
Is that just when it clicks after pint 9.5, and as it slowly goes down, goes ding,
exactly
Bloodborne.
It's the greatest regret of your whole life that you've never played Bloodborne. Wow, it's shocking.
The thing is, though, guys, the PS5 is going to be coming out later this year, and it will have backwards compatibility for all the PS4 games. So
that's
I'll be
mad,
getting it. What's not? I've got to get it.
There are a few early videos of yours which are like the odd guide.
Oh my God, yeah.
But you haven't made that many video game related videos. Is that something you'd like to change, or do you?
Oh my God, I would love to break out of doing TV shows and movies, but the problem is I've already tried doing video games, but not in a critical angle. I've literally tried doing a blind playthrough of Grand Theft Auto 5 because a few years ago I played through Simpsons Hit and Run.
Best game of all time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then somebody paid me to basically buy Grand Theft Auto and said, right, stream it. And I was like, right, well, I can't say no to that now. And I think I lost a considerable amount of subscribers, mainly down. Well, there's two factors at play here. There's first of all the YouTube kind of subscription model works like a magazine. If Kerrang! Magazine suddenly started reviewing movies, people would stop subscribing to Kerrang! Magazine. And the second thing is that I had no idea what I was doing with streaming. The hardware was not in place. I didn't have a good enough connection. Just a myriad of issues that plagued that whole streaming series. I think I got about 8 episodes in, and I wasn't making any other content at the time because I thought, oh my God, I can just stream video games. You know, fuck it, why not? That's like living the dream. And then, everyone started leaving in droves, and I was like, right, no, this cannot continue.
But maybe there's a crossover point. If you look at a YouTuber like Super Eye Patch Wolf, he does everything. I mean, he started out with anime, and most of his stuff is anime based. But he's also done like video game stuff, and he's done. I mean, some of his most popular videos are to do with professional wrestling. For Christ's sake!
Oh wow!
Really?
Like maybe if you, I mean. What do I know? I don't know anything about anything. I'm just curious to know. Like maybe you'd be interested in doing like a more analytical video about a video game that might be more in the kind of like rhythm of what you normally do.
Yeah. Something I'd like to ask actually is you because I think it's fair to say that most of your videos are Doctor Who related. Was that intentional? Is that something you set out to do, or is it more you made some videos about Doctor Who and you were onto a good thing here and you just rolled with it?
It's a bit of both, really. I mean, I was so kind of dissatisfied with the direction of the show between about 2010 and then I found out that they were getting a new that Peter Capaldi was going to come along, and I thought, oh, this could be a new kind of a fresh start. Maybe we could, with an older gent, it might be worth watching. And unfortunately, it was just the same old drivel. So I felt a kind of compulsion to just say something, but at the same time, there's also I do really want to branch out into other things because again we have to remember that the model works being consistent with like the kind of thing that I'm reviewing, because I really I'm all about The Witcher at the moment, and I would really love to review the Netflix show of that, but unfortunately there's also this kind of nagging feeling of old news is what I like to call it, because obviously when The Witcher came out on Netflix, it was bloody huge, and same goes with Mandalorian when that came out in everywhere but the UK for some godforsaken reason, and then when it finally did come to the UK, I was too late to the game and I didn't really get the traction.
See, that's why you just got to illegally download stuff.
Yeah, piracy is a good thing, kids.
Yeah, the movie industry, they don't need more money. They're extortionately overbloated anyway.
No, I'm not somebody that kind of subscribes to that really. And the other thing is that I've got too much to lose. If I turned around and said, when did Mandalorian come out? November last year.
Yeah.
If I'd have turned around and suddenly started reviewing that, then people would very clearly notice that somebody who's in the UK has got hold of the Mandalorian when he shouldn't really be able to watch it. And I know you get VPNs and all the rest of it, but like I say, I've got too much of a good thing going here, and I think I'm just going to kind of play it safe with things like that. And that's probably why I've stuck with Doctor Who for so long. But because it's work, it's bread and butter. Like, that's the main thing. But at the same time, I do really want to branch out into other things. I'm hoping that by the time I'm done with the David Tennant era, I can really start branching out into some other things.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, have you considered just putting on an American accent?
It didn't cross my mind, actually.
I mean, I've pretended to be Irish. You could.
Wait, no, you pretended to be English, Tom. You told me.
Oh no, it's all crumbling.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I was written by Chris Chibnall. I don't.
Whoa.
What? But you told me that you were written by Vince Gilligan. What's happening? Oh my God, Tom, is our marriage even real? Did you ever love me?
No.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't really love me either. It's fine.
Satnav is telling me to take a U-turn now.
Oh man, I feel like we should make our own brand of satnav where we don't actually give anyone directions because we're just bickering the whole time.
It'd be like
Right.
those, like the announcers on
Next
airplane.
exit. And it's like, no, take a right at the next exit. No, take a left. I'm telling you, I'm looking at the map.
On
You've
airplane.
got to do it. You know, you'll make millions.
We are sitting on a gold mine here. We're sitting on a gold mine, and it's, it's all because it all started with just one suggestion to change the name of our podcast to something that would frankly be much smarter and make way more sense. But how many people would come onto that podcast expecting directions?
Well, it depends what the directions are. I mean, directions at life, directions at... Actually, no, we don't offer that either.
Is that, oh my God, what are we even talking about?
So, Harry, I know that you said, I've seen some of your videos, and the ones that one of them I've seen where you said that you officially gave up on the newest Doctor Who, or at least the Whittaker era. And you also mentioned a lot of other shows that you're very interested in getting into. Like, I remember you did a sort of like a quick slideshow with things like Rick and Morty and Inside Number 9.
I bet I did. Jesus Christ. What was that? That was in my finale mega review, wasn't it? That was 5 months ago. And now look, it's just all Who, isn't it? Oh my God.
I'm sorry to have...
No, believe me, I'm never... consistency is something I'm absolutely awful with.
Yeah. Tom and I, in one of our previous podcasts, we talked about the state of British TV. Like, I watched the pilot of Broadchurch and the pilot of Killing Eve, and I know people who are really into Line of Duty at the moment, which I'm just not. I mean, they're fine, but there's nothing great about them. I guess the one thing I want to ask is, how do you feel about British TV in general? Do you think it's actually any good nowadays?
I tell you what, it's more that streaming platforms like Netflix and Prime are doing so well because of their business model primarily, but also because it's allowed them to produce such high quality shows in itself that the BBC just can't really compete with it. I mean, I don't really watch that many of them, to be honest. Like I'm more of a Netflix and Prime fan really over the past few years, so I can't really comment that much on the state of British TV. And the other thing is that the lines are really blurry now as well, because you could say that something that's produced in America but has English actors in, is that an English show? Is that a British TV show? I know, but that's what I mean. The lines are kind of blurry with all of these kind of companies all competing with each other. So I don't really. Yeah, Killing Eve I've not watched. Line of Duty I've not watched. I mean, Broadchurch I did enjoy when it was out, but again, it's just gone to the back of my mind. It was decent. That was
it. Doesn't have the staying power of some other things. Like
no, definitely not.
I mean, it's got Tennant and he's got a beard, and that's all I remember.
Damn good, doesn't he? He's got that sexy David Tennant thing about him.
Yeah, him and Olivia Colman definitely keep the whole thing running, because without them two, it just wouldn't be as good.
I really, I think Olivia Colman, having been in The Favourite and having won an Oscar, she's kind of above Doctor Who now. But I was really hoping. I mean, I knew they were going to do a female Doctor, and I was just really hoping they'd get Olivia Colman because she's a fucking darling.
Oh yeah. There were so many people bettered for that role, and it felt more like nepotism than anything else.
So not a lot of people are a fan of not just the run, but Jodie Whittaker kind of in the role. Yeah, oh my God, what a disaster. But Doctor Who is it's like one of Britain's last televisual kind of exports, because it has a fandom outside of the UK. Yeah. Whereas I don't think you could really say the same for things like Line of Duty. But the problem is that they just keep giving the stuff to terrible writers like Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat.
You say that with such disdain.
Making those words slide over my tongue, it's like vomit.
It's interesting you say that though, because when I have this very strange feeling that after watching the two most recent series, those ones that were written by Moffat are going to look golden in
They look a
comparison.
hell of a lot better, don't they?
Yeah,
Sad, isn't it?
Well, that's kind of like the difference between a turd and a slightly polished turd. It's like,
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
thank you. I worked very hard on it.
Let's brainstorm, guys. Top picks for the Doctor, like actors who haven't played the Doctor, who could potentially play the Doctor, who we think would make a good Doctor.
I remember someone who I thought would be a good female Doctor. I kept thinking about Lucy Davis, who I'm sure you best know as she was in Shaun of the Dead, and she played the actress friend of Liz.
Yeah.
That kind of person. I just envisioned that kind of personality in the way her mind kind of flickers when she's talking about acting. Is like I can see that as kind of being like the Doctor thing.
She's in The Office.
Oh yes.
She was the receptionist.
In the good Office.
Yeah. Whoa. The American Office is good. The British Office is always going to be the best.
Yeah, I'm not really that fond of the American Office by principle, because I think it kind of like what made The Office so good is that it was an extremely scathing satire of actual real dynamics in the office space, and anyone who's worked in an office space knows how real it is. And then the American Office just does random humor, and I just like it's fine. It's like I've got nothing against absurdist humor. I think there's a place for it, but I just thought it kind of lost the point a little. But that doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. I don't know anything about anything. I'm not even real. Anyway.
I think that the American Office has got a nice kind of balance of the characters, though, because the UK Office it is all about David Brent, like hands down. Everything is all about him, and that's exactly why it is so great. But simultaneously,
I don't know if I'd agree with that necessarily. I think it pays a lot of very close attention to the interpersonal relationships between particular kinds of people in an office space. So you've got like the IT guy played by Matthew Holness, and you've got, obviously it was like the big starting off point for Martin Freeman. I nearly said Morgan Freeman, and that would have been very wrong.
When was he in the office?
When I first was in the office, I thought that I can't do it. I
have that kind of effect on women.
But it's, I don't know. I feel like David Brent was an important part of it, without a doubt, but it was equally kind of counterbalanced by how people reacted to David Brent, and like the thing between the skinny asshole who was in the Territorial Army and Martin Freeman's character, who's basically just like the everyman. And I also have this thing, probably because I'm a psychopath. I have this thing where I don't find something funny unless it just makes me horribly sad.
Interesting.
Like, I can't laugh at something unless it's fucking miserable. So anyway, picks for Doctor Who, picks for the Doctor. We got sidetracked.
Oh yeah. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head.
I'm just thinking now David Brent is the Doctor.
Yeah. Oh God.
Richard Ayoade?
Yeah.
I'd take Richard Ayoade. Richard Ayoade's actually a pretty talented actor. More so than I think people realise. I'd take Richard Ayoade. Heck, I'd take Stephen Fry.
How about we have Stephen Fry, David Mitchell, Richard Ayoade, and they all rotate like every episode?
No. Every scene.
It'll be like that Mitchell and Webb sketch.
They rotate every shot, and we just hope no one notices, even though they don't look anything like.
I have a sinister feeling that somebody has like actually posed this question to me before, and I have a feeling that I might have said something to the tune of, it's not going to bother me too much who exactly it is. It's just whether the character is written well, and then the actor can kind of perform it as is. So, like I said, I can't think of somebody like, I can't pinpoint something. I don't have like a favorite pick or anything. But that's just because I want the show to go on hiatus, and I want them to surprise me with a really nice actor at some point.
So what you're saying is you want Kevin Bacon to play the Doctor?
No, because he's American.
I mean, we need to give him something. I mean, he's doing, adverts about EE adverts in England.
God,
things are not going well for him.
Come on, let's give Kevin Bacon some work. I'd love that. Can you imagine the fucking memes? Kevin Bacon playing the Doctor. God damn. Have either of you guys ever seen like a cat with curly fur?
No.
I've never seen a cat.
They exist, and they are heckin' cute. Little curly snuggle friends. And I love them. None of this has anything to do with anything. What were we talking about?
We were talking about who we would pick as the Doctor.
No, you can't say that. That's a cat that looks like it's been through the washing machine.
Oh, don't you do this to me, Harry.
Yeah, but I'm a dog person, so I can gladly insult cats.
I will admit I am also a dog person. I've grown to like cats more than I did on account of like one of my best friends had a cat called Bean, who is just like the best fucking creature I've ever seen. Only had one eye, most miserable thing ever. Didn't even meow. It wouldn't meow. It would just make this noise like. Meh.
And we know that Tom likes miserable things.
And I like miserable things. What can I say? I'm a terrible person with no soul. But yeah, dogs just love you. You know, they just love you unconditionally. There's no such thing as a bad dog. They're all good boys.
So on the topic of people playing the Doctor, a bit of news that I came across that I'm sure you have too as a Whovian is that apparently Christopher Eccleston is coming back for like a radio Doctor Who episode.
So well, for the longest time, he has kind of separated himself from the show after he left it. Because I think that there are a lot of people that were previously involved in the show. For example, Paul McGann, who had a one offshoot movie, has done several of these what are called Big Finish audios. And I don't know that much about them, to be honest, but somebody has given me one of them to listen to, basically. And they're just like... you could almost call them audiobooks, but they're like they're just Doctor Who for the ears. And I've never listened to them, but yeah, I know that he's in the studio doing some recording for I don't know if you could call it canon, but let me also distinguish. I don't know if I would call myself a Whovian because most Whovians hate me.
We're going to need to dive into that sometime later. That sounds like an interesting story.
Why do Whovians hate you? Is it because of all the drinking and the drugs and your long history of violence?
Yes, absolutely. There is that, but also I think it's mainly because there was one review that I made 5 years ago, and it will never stop haunting me. And people who are listening will probably know full well. There is a review of an episode that everybody unanimously loved, and I didn't. And I made a review on it, and I didn't really think about it that much until it started garnering a lot of hatred. And I just kind of like to pretend that video doesn't exist. But
what was the episode?
What was the episode?
Heaven Sent.
This means nothing to either of us.
There we go. Exactly. This is exactly what I mean. But yeah, it's so inconsequential that, you know, an episode that came out in series 9 that, you know, I just didn't agree with the unanimous opinion of, and again, I can barely remember it. It was 5 years ago.
Yeah,
but
what is that episode about? Is that in the...
still like to have a good slap at me for it, but yeah, that's why quote unquote Whovians hate me.
What episode is that? Is that it said season 9, so that would be
Barry Manilow.
I'm kind of hoping somebody would fill it in there because I don't know the Doctor.
Gary Busey.
Oh, it's Capaldi. Okay, I have no idea.
The whole premise of the story is that he is just locked away in this kind of the details escape me again because the episode is 5 years old, and
my God,
he basically, because he's, you know, invincible and can live for thousands and thousands of years, he can exist in this time zone thing that's totally separate from everywhere else. And I don't remember it that well either because it was so inconsequential to me, and people, and it's not like I gave it a 1 out of 10 or anything. I gave it a 4. Like, that's just below average for me, but you know, whatever. Like,
it's good to voice your honest opinion about something, especially if it's contrarian, you know, teach people something.
I think the other thing is that it was at a time when I was stupid enough to think that reviewing the show and making a video on it the day after it came out would be a good idea because I wanted the views and all of that. I didn't really have enough time to kind of digest it. I didn't watch it a second time, which I do now, purely because there's always a chance that you'll miss something on your first viewing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Our concentration, or my concentration, is as good as it can be, but it's certainly not perfect either.
Yeah, from what you're describing, it does sound kind of like a bottle episode, like one where they're running out of money but they need to fill a space, so let's get as little resources as we can.
The thing is, sometimes you can get like sometimes you can get an episode like that actually ends up being quite special.
Yeah, like The Fly and Breaking Bad.
Exactly, I was going to use that exact example, where like the first time you see The Fly, you're like, oh man, this has nothing to do with the story, I'm not interested. and then you rewatch it and it's like, oh, hang on a minute, there's a lot going on here thematically in terms of, you know, Walt's character and stuff like that. So I don't know.
I always loved that episode. Like I've never had a problem with The Fly. I love that one.
When I watched Breaking Bad, I was a piece of human garbage. So my disliking of that episode is in no way reflective of the episode's quality. It's one of my favorite episodes now. I believe it was written by Rian Johnson.
It certainly was, yeah.
Who I love, except for obviously what he did to Star Wars. But then again, I feel like I should love him for that because I hate Star Wars, and I'm just glad he kind of he delivered the blow that began to really drive it into the ground, and I respect him for that. I like to think it was deliberate. But yeah, no, I mean Brick and Knives Out and Looper, like good solid little.
Oh yeah, I watched Knives Out the other day. It was fucking awesome.
So good.
Yeah.
I still need to see it, so I guess I'm the odd duckling here.
Tom, you fucking asshole. You, god damn it, you're ruining everything today. No, I'm kidding. First, you're just like coming in here and telling me that I haven't done an intro to the podcast that I host. And the next thing you're going to be telling me that I haven't filed my taxes. You son of a bitch. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Tom, please, you don't pay taxes.
It's true, I don't. No, don't tell him that. You know, I'd actually be curious because your take on Stranger Things 3 was very, shall we say, generous.
Yeah?
Stranger Things 3, and I am being in no way hyperbolic when I say this, Stranger Things 3 drove me insane. And I blame a lot of my life's problems on Stranger Things 3. My wife left me.
Yeah.
I hated
You still
it.
haven't done your taxes because of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to. I am being hyperbolic. Obviously, you know, loads of people loved Stranger Things 3, and I in no way mean to kind of, you know, make people feel bad for liking it. Like, obviously, Stranger Things is a very popular show. It's got loads of value to loads of people. I hated Stranger Things 3, though. I really, really disliked it. I kind of be curious. I wrote a 3-part review. I would genuinely be curious to know what your thoughts were if you read that, because I feel like I don't know. I like to think I was fair.
I find 2 to be more upsetting than 3. Thing is that, like, for me, Stranger Things, I only reviewed it because everyone's watching it, and I reviewed it for the views. And I did really like the it's exactly what you would expect if you could just have a box standard 80s Spielberg series. That is literally all it is. It's nostalgia bait as hell, but it has got a lot of enjoyable aspects to it. Like, whenever I talk to my dad about it, he always is like, "Oh no, it's really great. I absolutely love it." And then I'll be like, "Yeah, it's good, but it's good. It's got room for improvement." That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, we're in that. I feel like we must be coming to the end of the 80s nostalgia bait. Surely. Because they say
no, it'll never happen until the people of that generation all die off.
And then we'll move on to the 90s, and that's
when they're all old enough to not be able to dance anymore and basically turn every nightclub into 80s nostalgia fests. That'll be the day when all of that will end. But
they say it's a 30-year cycle, right? You know, I mean, if you look at Blade Runner was highly inspired by the film noir of 30 years prior. When you got to like the 70s and 80s, you got a lot of 50s nostalgia. So surely we must be getting nearer and nearer to 90s nostalgia. I've seen a lot of adverts that are prying on 90s nostalgia. I don't know. That doesn't really count, does it?
What is there to be nostalgic about with the 90s? Like, apart from dial-up internet. No one's nostalgic for that.
You got, the first generation of Pokemon, maybe. You got Final Fantasy VII, which is being remade, so I guess...
Can we just pause to acknowledge one absolutely exceptional impression of fucking America Online that was? Wow. Beautiful. 10 out of 10. Round of applause. Beautiful. Anyway, sorry, Tom. Carry on.
Because I've been thinking that the 90s is a decade I don't remember very well. I was only there for 3 years and was not a fan.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as me.
Yeah, but from what I've seen... I'm not too excited for it.
Hey, the Berlin Wall came down in the 90s. That's pretty good.
We got Pokemon, that's what I said. And we got Final Fantasy VII, which has been remade.
I think that the 90s was probably the height of Japanese steroid production. Because, that was when Berserk began. When Pokemon began. There's a lot of...
Berserk began in No, Berserk. I mean, the first like proper issue of
Oh no,
Berserk.
I've gone and said a wrong thing, haven't I?
I'm gonna take you down. I'm kidding.
I've got the book right in front of me. When was this published?
I feel like Berserk began.
1989.
Yeah,
So close.
You know, I
I
mean,
don't count that as 80s.
you've done it now. You've ruined everything. Your entire career is now over.
Yeah.
Because you were off by a couple years.
1 year.
By 1 year, you sicken me. I'm very happy to know that you've got Berserk right there in front of
Oh
you.
man, I have got volumes 1, 2, 3, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and soon to be 18 on my shelf.
And the hiatuses, they hurt. Yeah. Oh my God. Let's talk about Berserk. I can't talk about Berserk with Tom because
With
Tom
normal people.
I'm sorry. I watch My Hero Academia like a normal person, Tom.
Tom is a terrible, terrible person who just isn't.
Wait. You said he can't read, can he?
Oh yeah,
So-
he can't. But
I
they've got
see
pretty
the images.
pictures. They've got pretty pictures. Yeah. Oh God, I love Berserk. Berserk is an exercise. Like, I don't mean to make this conversation really like serious and pretentious, but like Berserk to me is an exercise in overcoming trauma. Like so much of that story, like so much of my enjoyment of that story, and I meditate frequently on the idea of guts and that idea of just like putting one foot in front of the other, you know. Do you want to explain? Like, I feel like Berserk is just obscure enough for it to require a bit of explanation. Do you want to explain to anybody potentially listening?
Oh yeah, sure.
What Berserk is?
Berserk is a manga, Japanese manga. I'm saying manga because that's the incorrect pronunciation, but
Because we're all just awful people.
Oh yeah, we have to all become weebs by the end of the. I'll turn everyone into weebs by the end of this conversation because I am actually learning Japanese on Duolingo at the moment.
Oh my God, so was I.
Oh, there we go. See.
Do you want to know something crazy?
Yeah.
So am I.
We're all
all learning Duolingo Japanese.
Oh my God. Here we are.
Perfect.
Anyway,
The
carry
stars have aligned. So yeah, Berserk is it's quite infamous because it is just so kind of visceral and unrelenting, but it's dark fantasy, but to such a kind of weird level that it will blow your mind to conceptualize such a strange thing. I mean, it centers around a character called the Black Swordsman, who is also known as Guts, and his overcoming of demon kind in the world of, I can't remember what it's called.
Not Westeros.
It's not Westeros, but it's all about him basically kind of overcoming all of the horrendous things that life throws at him. And because it's not just about demons, it's also about human beings and
absolutely
how
morality as a whole, and aesthetics about morality, you know, how we perceive morality based on language and aesthetics, you know, because Guts doesn't fit the bill, aesthetically speaking, of a typical protagonist. He looks like a fucking monster. And then you look at the central villain of the show, Griffith, who is this beautiful kind of sort of slightly effeminate, very pure looking, almost angelic, like Renaissance painting of a man.
Yeah.
You know, and yet his absolutism concerning morality is constantly scrutinized by the story and the way we perceive the story. But yeah. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there about it like really focusing on this one character, because that's what makes it so special, is that it's this very, very close character study.
Yeah,
of this one guy.
If we're even looking at like a more contemporary kind of, I mean, I know Berserk is contemporary anyway, but I'm just going to use the Witcher as a more familiar example of somebody who is the protagonist doesn't always play by the rules, and that most of the story is centered around him, but simultaneously there are a lot of like characters that kind of overtake the story in The Witcher to make it not quite about The Witcher, but it still does surround him, whereas Berserk is all about Guts, like fun, like at the root of it, like and his kind of conflict with
Jeremy Paxman.
Yeah, Jeremy Paxman. There we go.
The central antagonist of Berserk, Jeremy Paxman.
Yeah. But I absolutely love it. But I only knew about it because of the anime at first, of which I moderately enjoyed. But
which one?
Oh, the original, not the.
Okay,
the,
good.
Not the
not
3D.
Sword Clang, not Sword Clang Berserk.
Anyone who's
no.
watched the 2017 Berserk will know exactly what we mean by that.
Yeah. You just need to put it in on YouTube to find out. But yeah, the original is like it's very soft for what it really could be, but that's only because by the end of the series you kind of figure out, oh my god, this is just hell. Like how everything went from such like order and tranquility, and then you have a few little kind of demonic things thrown in there, like the Nosferatu.
Oh,
and,
Nosferatu Zod. What a cool
yeah,
name for a character.
and all of that.
Nosferatu
But
Zod.
at the same time, that by the end of it, it all feels so kind of hideous and like it just sickening. That like then you have that was the main reason why I picked up the books, is because it ends on such a amazing cliffhanger. As much as it is horrifying and disturbing,
Are you
I just had
the
to.
Eclipse?
Yes, I had to find out what happened after that. But yeah,
But
I won't say anything more because I want people to go and watch it.
Oh yeah. Anybody listening to this, go read Berserk.
Yeah.
We're all in quarantine. Now's the time. Catch up on Berserk.
Just for the record, I have only read one issue of Berserk and I have yet to see the series. So if I'm silent throughout this conversation, it's not out of shyness.
Which volume have you read?
The first one.
Yes. Okay, that's fine.
He
I'm
did-
glad you didn't start at 4.
Yeah, Berserk, it's undergoing an interesting trajectory because it really is overcoming trauma. It's not just about lingering on trauma and inducing trauma. It's about overcoming it. And I'm charmed to see, and something that's made me very happy in the recent volumes, is how Guts he's building a family. He's putting together, what is it they call it, Guts Traveling Party, and he's building this little family.
Wait, hold on a minute. I haven't got to that bit yet.
Okay. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
give away any spoilers. I'm not gonna
Alright,
give any
okay.
spoilers, but you've got a lot to look forward to because things without it doesn't sacrifice the gritty tone of Berserk, but Guts is piecing things together. It's nice to see. There is a character that you will absolutely adore, I promise, called Shirka. I think I'm pronouncing that name right. I might be pronouncing it all wrong. Who is this adorable little witch? And I think Shirka kind of operates in the story relative to Guts in the same way that like Radical Edward operates in Cowboy Bebop, where she adds that kind of much needed levity, and she represents everything that I think the adult characters have kind of lost. So it gets really good. There is that feeling that actually Guts may potentially have a happy ending.
But then it wouldn't be Berserk if it had a happy ending.
Well, happy ending with an asterisk.
Sure.
Happy ending with an asterisk, and but it's Berserk is really wonderful, and you've got lots to look forward to. So how far have you kind of got then in the story?
Well, yeah, like I said, I've got volume 17, so I'm now up to the birth ceremony chapter, and I've probably read it. There's like 2 little bits at the end of 17, and 18 is on the way.
Is that what arrived in the post today?
Oh no, a watering can arrived in the post today.
Watering can?
That's anticlimactic.
Why a watering can?
Are you watering your Berserk?
No. Yes,
You're giving them a crinkled quality?
I've turned them all around, and I'm going to regrow the trees that were cut down for that bloody manga. No, it's for because in quarantine, my partner thought to get some plants, and they have really livened up the flat. And now we've got a watering can to accompany it.
That's heckin' cute. That's pure. We've gone from Berserk to something much, much nicer.
On the topic, do you reckon, because I know Berserk is one of those mangas that is almost impossible to adapt, mainly also the fact that it's also keep going. Do you reckon when it does finish, when the sun eventually blows up and Berserk will be finished by then, do you think it will get the full JoJo's Bizarre Adventure treatment and just the whole thing will be adapted?
I don't know what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is. Hands up, shoot me dead.
God.
Oh. Well, at first we were railing on Tom for not having read Berserk, but now Tom and I are going to rail on you for not having watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yes, the focus is off me.
I mean, all I can say is I'm going to give you nothing to go on about JoJo's. All I'm going to say is the title does not capture just how bizarre it is.
Oh my god! Sorry,
In fact,
I'm looking at the
it's on
IMDb
Netflix.
page.
My advice is read the synopsis for part 1, then just start at part 2, because part 1 is just boring. Just read the synopsis, the detailed synopsis, and just start at part 2, and you'll have a blast. It's a good time.
Okay.
I think the only director who potentially could have made Berserk happen, in my opinion, is Satoshi Kon. Yeah, I mean, Satoshi Kon, I mean, what is it? Satoshi Kon did a handful of movies, predominantly being Paprika, Tokyo Godfathers, Millennium Actress, and Perfect Blue, with a great TV show in the mix in the form of, my memory.
Paranoid.
No. Paranoid Agent. Satoshi Kon just had an eye for detail that and kind of slight grit to his style, particularly as you see in like Perfect Blue, that I just think would have been perfect for Berserk. But sadly, obviously, Satoshi Kon has passed away. And what I think would have been a perfect adaptation is sadly not going to happen. But I don't know. Is it even necessary?
Now we just have to settle with Chris Chibnall.
Oh, no. Oh, no. It could be worse. It could be Steve Moffat and Mark Gatiss. Steve Moffat and Mark Gatiss to do BBC adaptation of Berserk. Starring Mark Gatiss as Guts. Oh, fuck.
I'm having a look at this Satoshi Kon guy. For some reason, I've got the movie Perfect Blue in my watch list on IMDb.
That's a good
Perfect
movie.
Blue's amazing. It's a great movie. His movies are very cerebral.
It's a trip of a movie, but it's good.
But they're beautiful films. Like Tokyo, like they're all very different in tone. Like Millennium Actress is really, really sweet and like soul affirming, as is Tokyo Godfathers. Paprika is like a fever dream, and then Perfect Blue is literally just a woman going mad. So, and you will notice particularly in Perfect Blue and Paprika just how much Christopher Nolan has stolen ideas from those movies.
Oh, really? Okay.
Fucking hack, and I despise him.
Oh.
Christopher Nolan, if you're listening, I'm throwing down the gauntlet. Meet me in the Tesco car park in Slough, 6 p.m. Thursday night. I'm gonna take you down, you piece of shit.
You know, I have to say that this new Tenet movie that he's producing is the first one that I'm not excited to go and see. There's nothing about it that interests me. Like when Interstellar was like advertised, I was like, oh my god, he's doing a space movie, excellent. It was all right, you know, great movie. I much preferred Dunkirk. I know because of our previous joint employment that Chukas does not like Dunkirk.
Oh, is that when the two of you were hitmen for the mob in like a Jules and Vincent kind of dynamic?
Oh yeah. We actually, after we were finished there, we actually conspired to burn the place down.
Which one of you?
You mean you didn't do
it? Yeah. Which one of you was the Bible basher, and which one of you was the one that got shot after getting off the shitter?
Well, I was the Bible basher because I'm still here making YouTube content.
Well, I mean, I got shot, but I survived. So,
you did.
If anything, I'm a warrior.
Yeah, you survived? I thought we were talking to your ghost, man.
No, you're not talking to anybody right now. This is all imaginary.
Damn it, I knew it.
You've been in lockup for years. We meet him.
Yeah,
lockdown's actually been going on for 20 years, hasn't it? And I'm just talking to myself.
It's like a Shutter Island kind of thing.
I won't go on too much about it because I feel like I can't remember if we talked about it more when we were working together. But no, I did not like Dunkirk.
Oh, but Tom, you've got the platform.
I think two things to keep in mind about Dunkirk is I watched Hacksaw Ridge it was either a couple days before or a couple days after, so I had that to compare it to. And I think I watched Band of Brothers for the first time with you. So I had a lot of
significantly better.
Band of Brothers, what a show.
Such a good show, yeah.
Yeah, Band of Brothers is the gold standard, though, isn't it? Band of Brothers is the gold standard of how to write that kind of story.
Point is, I had a lot of other wartime material to base it on, or at least to compare it to.
Yeah.
Dunkirk, for me, was just entirely spectacle. And I can say that it's a well-made, in terms of like its set pieces and all that. The thing is, that's not really why I like movies, because I think its main selling point is that sense that it's depicting the war in as realistic as it can possibly be.
Yeah.
But the thing that I just hated is I didn't really care about any of the characters, mainly because there weren't any. I mean,
that's the problem, isn't it?
Think of it this way: Harry Styles was in this movie, and he was good because he played brown-haired white boy number 5 with no name. I know that Tom Hardy was in it.
Brown-haired white boy number 6.
All I'm going to say is, if you want to see Tom Hardy act his absolute ass off while contained within one vehicle,
Star Trek Nemesis. Shall I go?
What?
I was
That derailed itself so quickly there.
I was you were waiting for that. I was
No,
going
I
to say I was going to say watch Locke, which is a fantastic movie. I don't
Which
know
I will have a video essay coming up on Locke pretty soon.
Okay, here's my main issue. Here's one of my main issues with it. Its main selling point is that it's going for that realism, really throwing into the setting. Yet it has fictitious characters, and therefore, by the fact that it uses fictitious characters yet doesn't expand them enough, almost for the sake of realism, feels like it's kind of contradicting itself. And I feel like using fictitious characters which are not expanded upon is a missed opportunity for actually fleshed out characters, and B, feels like it's kind of insulting to actual real life stories of Dunkirk. Why not make it fully autobiographical of someone's journeys? Like I know I know they've
why
really
books are written, bro.
I know
Tom, Harry just slapped you down.
No. Carry on, please.
but I remember there were some soldiers ordered to essentially do a suicide mission against Germany in Calais in order to defend anyone at Dunkirk to get away.
That film
sounds
exists. That film exists, and it is called Spice World: The Spice Girls Movie. I highly recommend it. No, I think I get what Harry's saying. Like I do think like a movie doesn't necessarily owe anything to be completely biographical. I don't know.
It doesn't give me characters to latch on, which I feel
but
like.
Let's face it. If they were real characters, if they were real people, but the character writing was just as sparse, it would make no difference. Ultimately, the reason you don't like Dunkirk and the reason I don't like Dunkirk in turn is that it's empty. It's completely devoid of any kind of like personal, the characters are so sparse that it just felt to me anyway like there was not much to latch onto. Whereas with something like Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers, they succeed because they have stellar, detailed, idiosyncratic character writing. You get so many moments in Band of Brothers particularly when you just get to see how these people are, how they behave. All Quiet on the Western Front. Jesus, I mean, we're talking about a story that's older than any of these examples we've just given, and that kind of, I don't know, maybe we're assholes, maybe that's what it is.
I think the Tom Hardy segments were probably the most interesting. One bit I loved is when his fuel gauge was broken, so he had to actually calculate how much fuel he had left, and I thought that was really really tense, and I did actually feel tense, but then I was taken out of it because of the goddamn clock. Whoever decided to put that ticking noise in the background the entire time, I'm going to hit them with a clock because I hated that so much. I found it so distracting.
Oh,
You're
I
throwing
liked
down
that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought, honestly, on a technical level, I thought that the movie was fantastic. I came away from it absolutely mind blown. But again, each to their own. I think you guys have probably thought about it a lot more than I have. Like, because I was so satisfied coming out of the theater, I haven't really got any reason to kind of revisit it or anything like that, or really kind of dwell on it.
I guess it's also one of those films that wouldn't be as good if you watched it, say, on Netflix or on your phone, which is...
for sure, yeah.
Which
is a detriment of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, there are films like Gravity that are kind of like that. I can at least understand the technological achievement of that. But in the fact that all you really have is that big spectacle, once that's taken away, there isn't really much substance left.
The fact of the matter is that you can stick a movie like 12 Angry Men, you can stick that on and you can watch that and it still holds up because the story is so meticulously written and it's so well paced and so fantastic. But if a movie is going for spectacle, it's risking not aging well because spectacle will always be updated and what was considered spectacle 10 years ago will be obsolete.
For sure.
And I feel like this film, for me, at the very least, it threw off the illusion that I had about Christopher Nolan. And now when I watch any of his movies, except maybe the Dark Knight films that are at least entertaining, and Memento, which is at least a really cool concept, all the other ones I don't think I could enjoy. And again, I see a thing with Tenet that annoyed me about Dunkirk, that it mainly sells itself on the fact that it's a Christopher Nolan movie. I get a similar sense with Tenet, and the fact that it says things like, I think there's always like one line where people are supposed to go, whoa. And with Tenet, it's basically, it's like, oh, you're not shooting the bullet, you're catching it. Is your mind blown yet? And all I'm thinking is, bitch, have you watched Jojo's Bizarre Adventure?
I've got to say, actually, my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, I know it's not perfect, but my favorite Christopher Nolan movie is actually Interstellar.
Interesting.
Because it made me really feel emotions. God damn it! Like whenever I watch his other movie, like he's his movies are generally pretty sparse in the character department. I'm just like, I'm a character guy. I like good character stories, you know. And Interstellar, like, god damn, ripped my fucking heart out. Oh,
I mean, I will say, Interstellar, I would actually agree with you that moment when he's watching his daughter grow up in front of him and basically starting to turn on him, you could tell that is
it's so sad.
heartbreaking. I imagine Nolan is kind of like Stephen Moffat, that he kind of
Yeah.
needs to work with someone who can handle his flaws. Whereas if you leave him on his own, he's just going to make a mess on the floor.
The only thing is, though, if you leave him on his own, he'll make a shitload of money for the production companies.
So much money. That's why they love him, because people love
Which
his
one,
movies.
Moffat or Nolan?
Nolan.
Yeah, god damn.
I think my favourite Nolan film has got to be Dark Knight. I know that's kind of the typical answer.
Great movie.
But yeah,
It's a great movie. What can you say?
it's the thing I think about Inception and Dark Knight Rises, because I remember really thinking, yeah, another fantastic movie from Chris Nolan, but I've watched them 2 or 3 times afterwards and they've not aged well, even though they're about 10 years old. The Dark Knight still has it. Like, it has so much more going for it in every single department.
I do find it.
Directing, the fucking stunts as well in that movie are just sublime. That bit on the road when they're down underground and he just pulls out that RPG and just shoots that fucking lorry. It was just, oh my god.
We can't talk about The Dark Knight without talking about one of the most memorable, most memorable performance in the movie, and one of the most memorable performances of all time. And I am, of course, referring to Aaron Eckhart.
I knew it was
Tom Cruise's wife in the first one.
Tom Cruise's wife in the first one, is no one can remember her name. No, of course, obviously, the best live action Joker performance has to go to Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
just fantastic. I mean, what can you even say about it? What even is there to say?
What needs to be said? Yeah, exactly.
It's just brilliant. And I think, honestly, in my opinion, The Dark Knight took a lot of the philosophy about the Joker that was presented in Alan Moore's take on the Joker, particularly in The Killing Joke, and adapted them beautifully. I mean, the whole thing of The Killing Joke is that he's convinced that if you push someone far enough, even the best of hearts, if you push them far enough, they will be just like him. And it's obviously just his way of legitimizing his own horrible nature and the horrible things he's done. But in the end, he's wrong. And you get the same thing with the Joker. Like, the climax of the movie is functionally that the Joker is convinced, I'm going to take these 2 boats. One has a bunch of prisoners, one has a bunch of civilians. I'm going to give them detonators, right? I'm going to lace both of these ships with bombs and they're going to blow each other up. And then in a twist of fate, they don't. And he was wrong. And it's got that like feeling of hope to it.
I guess my final thought on Christopher Nolan and perhaps Tenet is that I can't see any trailer of the movie without imagining the IT crowd and Moss saying Tenetinba.
Harry, Harold, Harriet, Haraya. I don't know what I'm saying. What's in the future? What's in the future for Harry's Haunted House?
Well, I'm going to be changing my name around
again
after October. Yeah.
To what?
Harry's Moving Media.
Harry's Moving Media. Yeah. Why did you change it in the first place?
Because I really liked the idea of changing it for Halloween, but then I got so comfortable with the redesign that I don't know. I keep getting people asking me why'd you change it, but I also don't want to get sued by Studio Ghibli. So
well, it wouldn't be Studio Ghibli, would it be Disney? Because they have control over that stuff in the West.
Well,
and as we know, Disney, they are just the cornerstone of ethical business practices.
Yeah, as I say, the Japanese also have the best lawyers. So anyway,
I don't know. Tom's a pretty good lawyer.
It's true.
He's got a briefcase. I don't know what's in it, but it's there.
But it's because I'm rearing up towards 100k subs now. It's like I've got to have something that's going to be less oriented around Halloween, because originally I was thinking of doing more horror movie related stuff, and it took me so long to do that Shining video, and at the end of the day, what was even the point in making it? Like, I'd spent so long on it, and it just didn't take off. But that's just because
that's one of my favorite videos of yours.
It took too long to make. It should have come out at Halloween, and so that I think because I've gotten so cozy making Doctor Who videos now, it's got to go back to something more general, because then if I've got Harry's Moving Media, then I can review anything, at that point. And it'll also be like, right, the trajectory for, okay, I've now hit 100,000. Next milestone is going to be 1 million. How am I going to get that? And I need to step away from the Doctor Who stuff in order to do that. And as sad as that may be for people listening, I am not giving up on Doctor Who. There is still going to be content to be made, but I am also getting sick to death of talking about the show at such ridiculous lengths that I now
God,
need
it's
to
gonna
else.
become like it's gonna be like the YouTube equivalent of just doing like a 9 to 5, isn't it? If you're doing the same thing, it's going to drive you nuts.
Oh, it already is a 9 to 5 thing at the moment, so yeah.
What a way to make a living.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are worse ways.
I mean, you haven't done that many Ghibli videos, have you? You've done, to my knowledge, you've only done the one on Totoro and the one on Kiki's Delivery Service.
That's right. Yep.
Both of which are wonderful. I'm presuming Howl's Moving Castle is your favourite? Question mark.
It was 10 years ago when I named the channel Harry's Moving Castle.
What's your favourite now?
It's difficult to pick because there are so many amazing moments in so many Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
And I might be in the mood for Totoro one day, but I might be in the mood for Spirited Away another.
Yeah. Although those are both very kind of like popular picks. Those are two of the most popular Ghibli movies. Let me
get the list up and I'll see if I can pick a favorite for you. Hold on.
I'm a representative of Porco Rosso. That's not only is it my favorite Ghibli movie, it's my favorite film of all time, and no one talks about it. I love it. It's so
honestly,
somber.
man, my partner has when I first started doing the Ghibli things, she wrote kind of a quasi analysis of Porco Rosso, but unfortunately that never made it to because I don't know, life just got kind of ahead of ourselves, and we thought to not do Ghibli for I kind of decided against it just because I needed to rally the videos towards the consistency like I've kind of described earlier. Let me just have a quick look at these lists. The list. Kaguya is one of my favorites.
Beautiful film. Beautiful.
I haven't seen it.
Wind Rises is one of my favorites as well.
Also beautiful. Very sad.
Ponyo's cute as heck. Howl's Moving Castle is amazing. Spirited Away is amazing.
It's one of those things where, with the exception of Tales from Earthsea, there isn't really a bad Ghibli movie.
Oh yeah, I try and pretend that one doesn't exist.
But if we were to look at like the repertoire of Miyazaki specifically, Miyazaki hasn't made a bad film. Like, I often say my least favorite is Howl's Moving Castle, but that doesn't mean anything because all of his movies are amazing, and I would still like, if somebody said to me, "Let's watch Howl's Moving Castle," I'd be like, "Fuck yeah!" I'd get my ice cream, I'd get a blankie, I'd sit down and enjoy the shit out of that movie because it's still a great movie.
Mononoke is one of my favorites as well, just because I've got such a soft spot for that kind of level of fantasy relating to like nature and humanity battling it out kind of thing. It's always a very easy pick for like a story, and it always works. I mean, I'm sure there are some examples of where it doesn't, but off the top of my head, I can't think of anything bad. But I have also got like I think honorable mentions have to go to Isao Takahata.
Isao Takahata, yeah.
My Neighbor the Yamadas,
yes.
Hoko,
yes.
Grave of the Fireflies are just impeccably good.
And he often doesn't get the credit he deserves because Miyazaki kind of overshadows the rest of the studio.
I know, and he's dead as well. He's never going to make a movie again. That really saddened me.
That crushed me.
Wait, is Miyazaki dead?
No.
Takahata's dead.
Yeah, goddamn. Yeah, it's still super sad though. I mean, I really loved Only Yesterday as well. Like, there's some kind of like quotidian
that's a sweet movie.
beauty in Only Yesterday. I love Yonebayashi.
Oh yeah.
Hiromasa Yonebayashi has ended up actually taking the reins in Ghibli very affluently. I really enjoyed The Secret World of Arrietty, and When Marnie Was There ruined me.
Yeah, that's interesting. I honestly, Arrietty and When Marnie Was There didn't really do much for me. I'm not going to lie.
No, they didn't do much for me either on a first viewing. My recommendation would be watch them again and let them sit with you, because they Arrietty. I don't want to like go explaining the movie to you because you're a smart guy, probably smarter than I am. But like, Arrietty is a movie about existentialism, because you've functionally got this story where on one hand, you've got a boy whose world is small figuratively because he is dying. He's confined to the house and he can't go out. And he's sort of given up on life. Like he's given up on life so very much that he's in a position where he's actually not even all that hopeful about getting a surgery which could potentially alter his life forever. And on the other hand, you've got this character who is, physically very small, who, when confronted with the sheer like existential scope of the world, when she comes face to face with this creature that's so much greater than she is, she enters an existential rut, and their communication with one another helps them to grow and expand. If you watch the movie through that lens, I think you'll enjoy it more.
Okay.
And if you watch I actually full on hated when Marnie was there when I first saw it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember him saying so when I first watched it.
I think I switched it off because I didn't like the main character. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, actually, that's a very small-minded way of viewing a movie. Because I'm so used to watching a Miyazaki movie where the characters are all just like fundamentally very likable. And I thought, hang on a minute, like we've been handed a character who's much more emotionally complex than I think any other Ghibli character, with the exception of Marco Pagott from Porco Rosso. And I don't know, just like the concept of this, like maybe it's just because I identify with it personally. The concept of this young girl, like she hates herself so much. And she's so lost in this world that makes no sense to her, and she's so lonely, and she feels abandoned by the world. And the concept, when you're trying to absorb the fact that she feels like she's truly alone because her entire family is dead, she doesn't trust that her foster parents love her. And she's confused, and she's a teenager, and she's expressing all these really complicated emotions in really volatile ways, but she's simultaneously aware of how volatile they are, and it causes her to like hate herself even more. Like, it's complicated stuff. Like, it's really intricate character writing. And I think that's the beauty of When Marnie Was There. And I think once I kind of opened my heart to that, it actually ended up being one of my favorite Ghibli movies, when it went like from being one of my least favorites to one of my favorites.
Interesting. I'm sure I'll have to give it a rewatch at some point.
I think it is worth kind of opening your heart to those movies, and kind of opening your heart to how different they are from the typical Ghibli rhythms. But I don't know. I'm rambling.
Yeah. By the way, Harry, just warning you, if you say the words cowboy and bebop, if you say it 3 times in a reflection, Tom will appear behind you, and then he will never stop talking about it.
I will proceed to explain to you in detail why it's the greatest thing ever made by a human.
Yeah, I've watched some of it. I think what happened was, and I don't understand Netflix at all, because obviously they're making their own hideous live action version of it, but simultaneously it was on Netflix at one point.
Yeah.
And it disappeared. I don't know for what reason, but I never ended up finishing it. So that's how I stand on Cowboy Bebop. Unfinished.
Fair enough.
At least we have the live action one to look forward to after
Tom, shut up.
After the actor recovers from his leg injury.
That's a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
The dude's 50. Spike is meant to be 27.
Yeah.
Oh, that groan to me is the sign that we've been sitting in one place for too long. Honestly, it's been such a pleasure having you on. It's been
likewise, but both of you. Yeah, it's been great catching up with you, Chukas, and it's been great talking to you now.
But this whole thing has just been miles better than I could even have hoped. It's been fantastic. I have to admit, I am actually a fan. I was a fan before I even knew that you and Tom were acquainted.
Yeah, this is unfortunately becoming a more commonplace thing now, where a friend of a friend will say, "Oh my God, I've been watching that person for years, and that's your friend."
I know someone worth knowing.
No, it's your content's fantastic.
We should do this again sometime.
We absolutely should. I would love to have you on again if you'd be interested in coming on again. We have another podcast which is all about film noir. So if you have like a crime film, like a detective movie, or anything of that ilk that you really, really love, like Knives Out, if you loved that movie enough that you wanted to talk about it, our film noir podcast is very much like a kind of like a one-on-one. We just talk solely about that one movie.
Sure.
Do either of you have any kind of closing thoughts before we call it a day?
I guess I want to ask, Harry, did it suck?
No, it was actually a really good conversation, and I'm very glad I turned up. I give the Tom Tom podcast or the Sat Nav podcast, whatever you want to call it, a 10.
Yes, we did
it.
We're better than the Chibnall era.
We're
Well,
better
actually, no. Unfortunately, I have to give it a 9 because you guys still need to play Sekiro. But there you go.
Shit. Oh, god damn it. Well, there you have it, folks. We got a 9 out of 10. It's better than better than an 8 out of 10 or a 7 or a 4. And we've got some exciting stuff coming up over the next week. I'm going to put this up on Tuesday, so you'll be listening to anybody listening to this will be Tuesday. But we do have one other thing coming up next week, which hopefully people will be excited for, and that will be my first kind of proper video contribution to the channel. But until then, thank you, Harry, for joining us. Thank you,
Pleasure.
Tom, for continuing to be a presence in my life.
I take moderate pleasure in it, I assure you.
But anyway, we'll see you all in the next one.